¿Qué pasa, YouTube? How's it going, guys? Hopefully y'all had a great weekend. Hope y'all have a great week, and I have for y'all today at least a Wi-Fi battle. This time we are going to be back in the UU tier. A few of you guys have still been enjoying the Wi-Fi battle, so thank you guys. If you do enjoy this, make sure to hammer arm that thumbs up button down below. Let me know in the comment section, what are your stances on Bisharp and Zeraora officially being UU now? Personally, I think they're good fits in the tier. I feel like Bisharp is going to be a little bit more popular than Zeraora, just because Zeraora doesn't hit entirely too hard, although it does have some good coverage. It's not that strong, but Bisharp can definitely take advantage of defoggers, has access to Swords Dance, and I've seen Assault Vest and Z move running around, which is a little bit scary. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about those mons in this tier. This is a pretty cool team I got from my boy Harris. Is awesome as always, and this match was against Frostigar, as he has a very scary team. We have especially offensive Blastoise, Subcom Mind, Latias, SD Bisharp, Standard Gligar, Mixed Zeraora, and Swords Dance offensive Scizor. Now, going into this battle, easily the biggest issue on my opponent's team was going to be Primarina. Literally, I have no switch into Primarina. It's basically like Araquanid from yesterday's battle, but except with Primarina this time around, which is actually why I end up leading off with my Tortuga here, my Blastoise, because I figured that if he led immediately with Primarina and I led with anything else, Primarina basically got a KO with the proper prediction. So in order to try and prevent that immediately in this battle, I decided to lead off with my Blastoise. While I don't have anything to super effectively hit Primarina, I could at least try to weaken it in hopes that I could lower it to where I could then revenge kill it. But he ended up leading off with the Infernape as he then brings in Primarina here. I am expecting him to most likely go for a Moonblast if he is a choice set. If he was a Rest Talk variant, this wouldn't have been as threatening, although it would have been a little bit more annoying to try and weaken. But I do expect him to want to go for a Moonblast here, hoping and praying that he doesn't expect me to switch directly into my Scizor, and ends up doing about 49% to me, which confirms that he most likely is a choice spec set, as I decide to try and predict him to bring in the Aggron here, but he ends up bringing in the Palossand. Kind of wish I had gone for the Bullet Punch there. I also thought about doubling, which in hindsight I probably should have doubled out here, and then I end up being aggressive and go for the Bullet Punch, expecting him to try to get up his Stealth Rocks, but he ends up going straight for the Shadow Ball, and that was just a really dumb play on my part. I really misplayed my Scizor here. Realistically though, Scizor I don't think would have done entirely too much in this game. Like, even if I had got up a Swords Dance, I don't outspeed the Lucario after that Moonblast. I get dropped if he's fighting MZ. Yeah, I could have superpowered the Mega Aggron at +2, but at the same time, getting off that damage isn't entirely too crucial at this point in the game, and then Infernape outspeeds me and tanks anything I want to go for. So I figured if anything, I could try and pressure this Palossand to at least try and even up the score, making it 5-5 at this point in the battle. Then again, I don't necessarily have anything that can one-shot this Palossand, which is why I actually ended up bringing in my Blastoise, thinking that he would switch back into his Primarina. I decide to try and double out here into my Bisharp, but I'm guessing he predicts me there, and he stays in, calls my bluff, and goes for the Shore Up. And even though, yes, I am a Bisharp, Colbur Berry is typically run on Palossand in the UU tier, so while it may seem like I could just go straight for the knockoff to finish him off, and that would actually be a horrendous play on my part, because if I lose my Bisharp, I lose some type of priority and a potential way of being able to deal with that Primarina, which is still absurdly terrifying. So expecting him to Earth Power here, I bring in my Latias. I don't think he has a Toxic at this point in the match, and in case he does want to try and switch out here, I decide to go for the Calm Mind. But he ends up staying in here, and I check the calc, and it turns out that after a second Calm Mind, I can actually still tank a Shadow Ball, and then I'll be able to get up a Substitute. I am going to be very, very low because unfortunately this Latias does not have Roost or Recover, but it's not entirely too bad, because if I do end up behind a sub, then that means that Latias should potentially be able to pick up 2 KOs at +2. Primarina does not live. I can Z Draco this Palossand so I don't lose my special attack boosts. I should knock out the Infernape. I can also knock out the Lucario, or at least prevent it from trying to potentially Swords Dance. If that is a speed boosting Yaw Mega, then that could actually be really, really bad. But on the off chance that maybe he's Tinted Lens, then I guarantee outspeed that, and I can in return knock it out at +2. And then Mega Aggron is still going to be taking a lot of damage from a +2 Draco Meteor, and then I can follow it up with another Draco to at least try and severely weaken him as I knock out the Palisand. I had to pop my Z move there because I didn't want to lose my +2 special attack, and outside of Palisand or Mega Aggron, there was nothing else I was probably going to Z move regardless. So in comes the Infernape. Unfortunately, turns out that he is Scarfed, and he's going to be able to break my substitute here as I make a really... oh, this was another just terrible play. This was such a bad play. I don't know why Draco, like, there was literally no reason to Draco there. Like, even if he had U-turned into the Aggron, it really wouldn't have mattered much. Like, I could have just Psyshock then Draco'd, but because I did Draco, I let this Lucario just freely nasty plot, and at this point I'm just like, well, I'm gonna get swept because I have nothing for this Lucario, and even if I can knock him out, he's gonna severely weaken something else. So unfortunately, down goes my Latias when I could have potentially got 3 KOs with it, but at least knocking out the Palisand and the Infernape is really nice because now he shouldn't have anything faster than my entire team unless Yanmega comes in and does turn out to be Speed Boost. So I am able to tank the Vacuum Wave because he is not Life Orb. He most likely was a Z move Lucario, as I will be able to finish him off with the close combat there. Get a crit, that crit does not matter. Close combat would have finished him off regardless, as in comes his own Aggron. I have a perfect switch into this in the form of my Gligar, and I have seen Avalanche Mega Aggron before, so I was a little bit worried about that, but at the same time, like, I don't think he can afford to let my... well, actually, no, I guess he didn't really lose anything if he did have the Avalanche, because he would have been able to knock out my Zeraora there. I guess he could have maybe predicted me to bring in Blastoise as well, so Earthquake realistically wasn't too bad of a play, as I will be able to not get hit by that because I'm a flying type. I can then take this opportunity to finally get on my Stealth Rocks. However, though, in comes the giant terror that is this Primarina, and much like earlier in this battle, I don't really know what to do against this thing because it just comes in and gets a kill. Like, there's nothing I can do. I have to hopefully not sack something. Like, that's my only hope, that he doesn't Moonblast here, which thankfully he doesn't. As I bring in my Blastoise, I end up going for the Rapid Spin here because I figure that if I can keep Zeraora around, Zeraora can still actually apply a pretty good amount of pressure to his team. And knowing my luck, I would have missed Hydro Pump there regardless. So if anything, I would rather guarantee getting rid of rocks than risk missing Hydro Pump and rocks still being up. So because I was able to Rapid Spin, I can kind of safely bring in my Zeraora here. Zeraora can actually win me the game at this point if that Yanmega is not Speed Boost. So I decided to bring it in here, and I need to go for the Plasma Fist. There is no other move I can even do just because of how big of a threat the Primarina is. Even if the switch out was very obvious, I still needed to go for Plasma Fist here because regardless, I'm still chipping down this Aggron, and I was so close, so close here to staying in and going for the close combat, and I really wish I did because him going for rocks, expecting me to switch, was so obvious. But on the off chance that he did want to Earthquake, I figured that trying to bring in Gligar would be a little bit better on my end because I could still go for the Earthquake to weaken the Aggron as he then got up rocks. As he decides to bring in the Primarina here, I do get a little lucky and I get a crit. Now, this crit was very huge. Was it game changing? I'm not entirely too sure, but I'm pretty sure that after checking the calc, he was at about like 51-ish, 55% if I'm not mistaken. I can probably put the HP bar up there, but I would have probably put him low enough to where rocks would have knocked him out, and then at that point I could then bring in Bisharp and I go for knockoff. Or if he was outside of range of rocks, then I would have to bring in Bisharp and predict him to switch out Primarina into Aggron, and I would have to pull a double switch into my Gligar. But because of that crit, I completely get rid of that 50-50 scenario, and I will be able to get rid of this Primarina, and all I have to worry about is the Yanmega in the back, which if it is Speed Boost, probably beats me regardless because he's gonna have Protect, which means he can play around Sucker Punch from my Bisharp. And the nice thing about that crit too is that I didn't have to sack off my Gligar. So if I hadn't had got that crit, I would have had to sack off my Zeraora here. Why do I keep calling Zeraora here? And then it would have been 2v3, and again, I don't know, like the crit really did suck, and it did put a bit of momentum back in my favor, but I think the match would have come down to a 50-50 on whether or not he would have tried to bring in Aggron, and then we would have gone from there. But I am able to knock out the Yaw-Mega here because it turns out that he's not Speed Boost, he's actually a Choice Specs Tinted Lens set, which is amazing because this means I can now have a chance to win this battle. As in comes the Aggron, I'm going to go straight for the knockoff. I'm actually still a little bit scared that he may have the Avalanche, because if he does have Avalanche, then he could potentially beat my Gligar after I hit him with an Earthquake, because Avalanche's damage doubles if the Pokemon using it goes second, if I'm not mistaken, or if they take damage on that turn. So I end up bringing in my Gligar here, and I foolishly go for Earthquake. If he did have Avalanche here, then that would have been really good for him to have gone for. What I should have done was actually gone for the Roost to scout out for it, but I guess it's not entirely too important here, as it turns out that I'm guessing he doesn't have it, and regardless, this next Earthquake will be able to hopefully finish him off, and he's not going to bust out something to knock out my Gligar. So Gligar definitely carrying the team here at the end. I still kind of feel a little bit dumb about how I played my Latias and my Scizor. I really gave my opponent opportunities I shouldn't have let him get, and Zeraora ended up taking way more damage than it should have. If I didn't go for the Draco and I ensured KOing the Lucario, and then from there Zeraora would have been able to easily just spam Close Combat and spam Plasma Fist, and then the crit on the Primarina did kind of get rid of a 50-50, which shifted most of the momentum in my favor. But yeah, regardless though, very fun, good game. If you guys did enjoy, hit that thumbs up button down below, hammer armor while you're at it, comment down below. I will see you all later this week. Have a good week, guys. Hopefully y'all had a good weekend and you did enjoy, and with that being said, I will see you all later. So later, everybody.